Hey everybody, this is Amber Key, and you're listening to a new episode of A Bright Idea Podcast, a show where I sit down with entrepreneurs to discuss the aha moments that launched their businesses. On today's episode, we're talking about networking. I'm so excited for this episode. Let me be honest. When I was doing research for this episode before bringing on this guest, I was talking to a few friends and we were talking about networking. And there's really, I think networking is split into two. There's some people that naturally connecting with others, networking, putting themselves out there comes naturally. And then on the other end, it is a really daunting task. I think of it like when you're in high school and you have to like present something in public speak in front of the class. I think that sometimes networking is thought of in the same way. I am really looking forward to listeners listening to this episode because the guest that I have on today, Desiree Jones, takes that fear out of what it means to network. I think networking has some of an icky connotation. People might think like, oh, it's so that I can get something out of somebody, or it's disingenuous and, or, you know, it's not, it lacks like credibility and trust and all of the things. And I get that, but you have to, networking is about intention. And I think right now in a time where so many jobs and industries are volatile, it is so important for you to be using your network and know the strategies to build that network and build those connections with people. And so with me today is Desiree Jones, a trailblazing business owner and creative multimedia tech strategist, refining how professionals connect. Her book, Hey, Nice to Meet You, the Networking Manual Workbook, equips readers with actionable strategies to build and sustain powerful networks. She recently launched Hey Follow Up, an AI-powered app that automates and manages follow-ups after networking. With global experience in social content and video marketing, Desiree thrives on pushing boundaries and taking bold risks. Before we dive in, if you love what we're doing here at A Bright Idea Podcast, help us keep going. You can subscribe to this show to get notifications when new episodes drop. If you like what you hear, share the episode with someone who needs a little inspiration. And if you would like to support the show directly, you can donate to our Cash App at A Bright Idea Podcast. Lastly, if you are a business owner or a brand looking to connect with our growing audience, we'd love to collaborate with you. You can sponsor an ad within one of our episodes, or you can sponsor an entire episode. Just reach out to learn more. Now let's get into it. Here's my conversation with Desiree Jones, owner of Hey Nice to Meet You and founder of Hey Follow Up. Desiree, thank you so much for coming on to A Bright Idea today. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks so much for inviting me. This is going to be so fun.
No, this is going to be really fun. I think that the summer is right around the corner, or the time that we're recording this, the summer is right around the corner. And I don't know about you, but I feel like here in DC, that's when people are outside. We have happy hours, we have networking events, we have conferences. And today we're talking about networking, and we're talking about your book, Hey, Nice to Meet You, which is a guideline for teaching people how to network and be comfortable with putting themselves out there, but not only putting themselves out there, but building relationships upon that. So I feel like this is perfect timing, and I can't wait for us to get into it.
Oh yeah, we're outside. We are so outside.
Yes, we are outside. Before we get into this, I want to do a rapid fire with you. I like to usually do a rapid fire with my guests to break the ice a little bit and let them get to know you a bit. So would you like to play?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's get into this. Okay, so what is your go-to opening line when meeting a new person?
Ooh, my go-to line. Honestly, hey, I'm Des. Nice to meet you. Like, I kind of just jump right into it.
Okay, that's easy enough. Okay, coffee chat or happy hour? What's your ideal networking vibe?
I'm going to say coffee chat. I like coffee.
All right. I feel like that's like intimate too, and you can actually get that like one-on-one connection. All right. What is one of your networking no-nos?
Networking no-no? Ooh. I say like don't get like too drunk. Don't be too tipsy, because like you could tell and it's not a good look.
Oh, I want to get into that later on in the episode. If there's like a rule for that when you go out, like is it one drink or do we drink it all? Like, actually we could talk about it now. What would you say? Do you have a rule for that?
I mean, if you are a person that drinks, you should know how many drinks it takes for you to kind of go over the edge. And it's really interesting because I feel like nowadays, especially in DC, like there is a lot of mixers, and those mixers can turn into like turn-ups really quick, depending on like, the environment and the DJ. So just don't be that person.
No, I feel like that's...
Just don't be that person.
No, that is such a good point. I feel like that's so important to say too, because they do, like, any mixer can go from well-intentions to like to a whole turn up, and you have to remember your why of why you're there, and also that people are looking at you. So don't embarrass yourself. No, that's...
I've seen it. I've seen it so many times. I've seen it at conferences. I've seen it at work. Like, don't get too crazy because your bosses might be right there looking at you. So
or your future bosses or people who would advocate for you in different rooms. So you're absolutely right there. Okay, what is one of the most creative ways someone has ever followed up with you?
Ooh, that's a good question. The most creative way someone's followed up with me. I don't know. I really, they just send me an email. Like, I don't know if that's creative. Let me think about that though, because nowadays a lot of people, you got LinkedIn, you got Gmail, you got text. They'll use my app. So I have an app. It's called Hey Follow Up. So like they'll use the app to like send me a message.
Ooh.
Yeah, I use your app.
No, that's super innovative. I was wondering if anyone like went out of the box like with it as a way to like follow up with you.
I'm still waiting. If someone can actually go out of the box to follow up, that would be great. But just networking itself, people can't even like do that nowadays. Or like the follow up, it's really bad out here. To be honest, like people really don't follow up in a creative way. If they do decide to follow up, it's like, I mean, sure, it's email, but it's not creative. I haven't seen it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, and then this is my last one. Describe your vibe in one word when you walk into the room.
Ooh, in one word, I'll say magnetic.
Okay.
Definitely magnetic.
Yeah,
like I bring good like energy to the room. I always get that when I show up, very lively.
Yeah, and you're trying to attract good energy and positive connections. Ooh, absolutely. I love that. So before we get into, well, actually, I do want to get into Nice to Meet You.
Yeah.
It's not just a book. It's a guideline for how to better network and make genuine connections with others. I would love if you can talk to us about how networking has impacted your life and your career.
Oh my gosh. It's like a testimony to like my life, honestly. Let's see. For starters, networking helped me so I went to Hampton University. So one of the things that I think about immediately is, ironically, I made a song called I Go to Hampton University, and that song helped me use my network to go to London, like overseas. So that was amazing. That was like my senior year. I made a whole song. People at Hampton were just eating it up. I did not think it was going to go the way it was supposed to go, but that song helped me go to London.
Wait, talk to me about that. Why was this for a class, or like what was, and where were people finding this song, and like?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So the song came from me attempting to, like, it was like a video competition. So nowadays everyone's looking for like a video competition or whatever to do something, but in 2018, that's when I had an opportunity to work with a program that had internship opportunities all over the world. So they were like, if you were to apply, you create this video, and whoever gets the most votes, they get to go to this internship program. So I was like, well, what's a cool way to have a video that's not like basic? And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to make a song. So I made a song, I recorded it like on my phone. I was like, this is going to be so cute, it's going to be so funny. just not expecting anything out of it. I was just like, let's just see how it goes. And then the moment I posted it, like everyone started reposting, everyone started commenting, everyone started tagging the internship program.
Yeah.
People started singing it. Like I knew it was a bop.
Bring the beat back. Hampton University. I go to Hampton University. You gotta be involved, don't be awkward. We're always excellent, it's the standard. Freshman year, pull up to Hampton like skirt. Next thing you know, we're graduating.
Somehow, like I put it on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
I didn't even put it on SoundCloud yet. It was on. I was going into Scripps, which is like a building at Hampton, and it was on somebody's like computer, like a school computer, and I was like, how did they even? How did they get Instagram
so
on the
funny.
computer? So it was just there, and I was like, that was just crazy. But yeah, so that song helped me go to London overseas, which was fantastic. But before that, I'd say I used networking to switch my major. So I was a 5-year MBA major up until junior year. And then I switched my major to marketing like junior year, second semester. So I had to use my network, talk to my professors, talk to my counselor at the time, just trying to figure out how to navigate this. And ironically, I know a lot of people that switched their major too, but they did not graduate on time. I graduated on time and ended up getting an internship to London, which was insane, literally insane.
I think people that are listening to this who may be in college right now in that transition going into the real world, their first job, or people, we're in a time right now where people are trying to figure out what is their next move, or they might be trying to pivot or grow their income, whatever. Growing at your network is so important. It's more than just, going on LinkedIn or going on Indeed and putting in job applications. I feel like that's so much harder to do now, rather than just finding the people to talk to that are going to get you to that next level. Were you always like that growing up? Like utilizing your network, and did you even know what networking was when you were a child?
Yeah, I talk a little bit about that in the book. So I'm the oldest sibling, so like kind of the guinea pig of the family.
Same.
But growing up, I just tried to find like the answers. Like my parents didn't really have the answers that I was looking for. I asked a lot of questions. So some questions they didn't have the answer to. So I literally was just asking people for certain questions. And the moment I started asking questions, that led to, more answers, more opportunities, just more possibilities. But I had to go get it. Like I had to go figure it out. I had to go talk to people. I didn't wait for people, because sometimes like people growing up, they'd be like, oh yeah, I'll get to it. I'm just kind of like, I kind of need to know this like very soon. So
Yes.
I just stopped waiting. To be blunt, I stopped waiting for people to like give me permission to give me the answer, and I just found the answers myself. And then I was always cool with the teachers. Like I was always the one that was like, hey, what's going on? Talking to the teachers in high school, even in college, going to the office hours, just trying to get to know them outside of like school, which I feel like was helpful in a lot of different scenarios, especially in college. Like if you get to know your professors, you show up on time, you turn in your assignments, you want to get familiar with your professors. So when I started just talking to professors and getting to know them, I was, again, like before I switched my major, I was a part of the MBA program. So we had this class called LAP, which is Leadership Application Program. And I'll never forget, the first time I knew I was a networker is it was snowing. Like it was snowing and they still had class. And I was like, dang, do I need to go? But the class was a speaker. So it wasn't really like a legit class, but a speaker came to like talk about, a certain topic. So I went in the snow and I met the speaker, and then we ended up having a coffee chat, and he told me about this conference called the Power Networking Conference. And then after having a coffee chat with him, he was like, I'll connect you to the person that's over the conference. And lo and behold, I ended up going to the conference, like helping out, volunteering, and then I met my mentor there. So it was just kind of like a domino effect of me just kind of showing up, asking the right questions, kind of being open to getting to know people and professionals, and honestly kind of like leveraging the fact that I was a student to kind of, get different opportunities. So yeah, I think I've always been a networker, and I've always been curious. And I feel like if the more curious you are, and the more questions that you like are looking for, eventually you'll get the answers, and it'll probably be in the places that you least expect it. And those answers that you get lead to more opportunities. And along the way, like, I started building my value, building my connections, and keeping in touch, like keeping in touch with all the folks and following them on LinkedIn, following them on Instagram, and just kind of continuing the engagement along the way.
I think you're speaking to something that is so important. I definitely can identify with everything you're saying as the oldest. You don't really have a playbook. You're just kind of like trying to figure it out as you go. But I think what you're mentioning about the curiosity and through just meeting with people and talking to people, if you talk to somebody for 5 minutes, you can kind of find a common ground in some way. And really, it's not just about talking to those people so that you can get to a next level. It's more talking to somebody so that you're building kind of that trust and that credibility for opportunities later on.
When we come back, the idea that sparked Hey, Nice to Meet You.
I want to talk to you about the inception of your book, Hey, Nice to Meet You. So obviously you've grown up always being sort of a connector and being able to leverage that in your career, in your life. How did you come up with the idea to write a book about it?
Oh my gosh. So this was pre-pandemic, ironically. I think it was probably 2019. I was talking with a good friend of mine, and I was trying to figure out, like, what's my next move? What's something I want to do? Mm-hmm. And she brought it to my attention. She was like, you're really good at networking. Like, you're an entrepreneur, you're creative, and you're always talking to me about different people that you meet, and all that. And she was like, what if you just decide to make a book? And so my friend literally kind of put that little seed in me, and I was like, a book? Like, what are you talking about? And I thought about it, and it was really weird. It was immediately, I started kind of, the gears started turning in my brain. I was like, you know what, I could make a book. And it was nerve-wracking because at the time I didn't have any money. I didn't have anything. I was just kind of like, this is a concept. But I had a vision, and I met someone who had a publishing kind of company, but she had a program. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to invest a little bit into this program and just kind of build the outline. Like, I was like, I don't know how to make a book, but I'll just put the outline together, so when down the road, if I feel like I want to do it, then I'll do it. So I worked with her, put the outline together, and then I ended up getting a job, in the DMV, because at the time I was in Atlanta. So, once the outline was done, I kind of took a break from it, like a year or so later. The pandemic hit, and I was just like, interesting. The pandemic is hitting, and connections are being lost because everyone's in the house. Everyone's like not knowing what to really do. And even me, I started getting nervous trying to talk to people because I found myself just kind of being in the house all day. Yeah. So I ended up getting this full-time job, coming to the DMV. And at that moment, I think I was we were in the heart of the pandemic in 2021. And I was like, you know what? Once I get this job, I'm just gonna just go for it. So I used the money I had from my job and really invested in, the design, putting an LLC together, really starting the process. But ironically, I ended up asking somebody how to make a book. So it took networking for me to put the book together. It took networking to get me to find an editor for the book. Yeah. It took networking to find different publishing companies to kind of look for. So I'll say this, I went to go see Beyonce. So the Renaissance conference happened, or the The Renaissance concert happened in DC, and it was night 2. So when I first got the job, it was around 2021, and then I started the outline, just kind of brick by brick, thinking about the design, slowly but surely. I was like, okay. And then I kind of took a step back from it. I saw Beyonce perform in the rain.
Oh, I was there.
Oh my God.
I was there.
It was the most chaotic, magical moment of my life. My phone was cracked. I didn't even get any footage. It was really bad. But it was an amazing experience because I realized right then and there, if my girl Beyonce can perform in the rain, mind you, like, you know, we didn't see everything, but she gave it all she got, and that was actually my first time seeing her perform live.
Yeah.
So seeing her perform live in the rain, I feel like that was her Prince moment. And after I left, immediately I was like, I gotta finish this book. Because it just kind of jolted something in me to keep it going. So in 2023, that's when she was there in like August. By December, the book was done, and I had hosted a launch party. All my friends showed up. It was it ended up being, you know, on my website. Like I was promoting during homecoming. Like it was like my little baby. Like, oh my gosh, it's really here. And I didn't take it seriously until like I was like, I need it to be in my hands. I need to see it for myself, and that will motivate me to kind of keep pushing. So I saw Beyonce. A month later, I was like, let me just get one copy. So I printed out one copy, and then that was really the source of like the constant push to kind of keep it going. And a couple years later, we have the original book, and now we have a workbook as well.
Yeah. What was it about that moment in seeing Beyonce that really like gave you that push? Like, I know you talked about being out in the rain and she gave it her all, but what were you feeling in that moment that where you were like, I need to finish this book? And I also would love to know, like, what was the delay for you? Like, what made you sit on it for a while?
Well, I say the jolt itself was I ain't gonna lie to you, Renaissance. I really love that album because it was like confidence, it was being bold, it was showing up, and that was already, I feel like, who I was becoming. So that energy, that tenacity, the fortitude that she had to just keep performing, give her all, that really kind of helped me. I think what delayed me was just like the whole 9-to-5 just work life. Trying to, I think I was in a relationship at the time, so just really focusing on everything else and kind of putting my stuff to the side. And seeing Beyonce, I was like, everybody needs it was more so like everybody needs to kind of like take a step back. I have to put myself first in this season. Something in me, I feel like it was also God, like, to be honest with you, because something in my spirit was like, the time is now. Like, it's just now. And to anyone out there, if you feel like there's something that just keeps eating at you, that means that it needs to happen. It doesn't matter, like, how it happens, when it happens. Like, if you keep feeling that, that means something is pulling you to do it. And it was pulling me before I saw Beyonce. And then I saw Beyonce, and I was like, okay, cool, let's just do it. I'm going to figure this out. I'm just going to, you know, pray on it and just hope for the best. And then even the timing, because at once Renaissance, that tour, like, we were kind of still in the pandemic, but kind of like headed out of the pandemic.
Right.
So even the transition from going into the pandemic to kind of transitioning out of the pandemic, I already started to see how it affected so many students, how it affected so many professionals, how it affected just the professional environment as a whole. My sister, like, she was in school at the time. I know a lot of like recent grads, like, they were affected trying to figure out how to like navigate college and not having the support system or like other teachers. Like, it was really difficult. And I was like, I feel like this book can be a source for anyone who might not have all the answers but need community. So I felt like I had a community to support me on the way to this journey. And at the end of the day, even with community, it's up to you to continue to push forward. And make that community proud and show them like why you are who you are, and just keep kind of leveling up and keep going. So yeah, it was her tenacity to keep moving forward kind of gave me, it was like the catalyst to jolt me into being like, let's do it now. And honestly, I'm glad I did it, because the moment the book was published, everything like shifted for the better, which has been phenomenal.
Thank you for sharing that part of the story, because I want, like, of course, we're here to talk about your book, and also for you to give advice to people out there who need help with networking, who are shy to go out and talk to people, who put themselves out there. But I think that there's real truth in what you're saying, in that when you're working on something, a project, a business, no one talks about all of the other variables that go into that. You mentioned that you were working a 9-to-5. You're also in a relationship. We're in a relationship. I could imagine you also wanted to have a social life, and then you also have to take care of yourself at the same time. There's so many things that are like spinning on plates, juggling, and it really does take that moment. Sometimes it's divine that something hits you, and I've definitely been in the moment where I've put even this podcast on a back burner because I was dealing with so many other things. And it is like this moment where you're waking up in the middle of the night and it's like, no, I have to complete this or else. Like, whether it's like someone else is going to write this book that I wanted to write, or it's going to be years from now and I'm like, why didn't I complete this, you know? So Thank you so much for sharing that. I also believe that when you were saying while you were writing the book that you were noticing we were coming out of the pandemic, and you're absolutely right. I think people were so isolated forever that we didn't know how to interact with other people. So sometimes it's also the timing that takes that delay was actually ended up working for you in the long run, because it was that timing of us coming back into the normalcy. Talk to me a little bit about, I know what the need was that you were trying to fill, but when you were writing this book, like who was the person that you were thinking about when you, like, who was the audience that you were thinking about, or the person specifically that you wanted to read this book?
To be honest, it was a lot of creatives. And I say that because at the time, you know, I also have a video editing company. So the company is called Promo Jones. It's a video editing boutique. And at that time, again, no one really paid attention to social media like that until the pandemic, if I'm being honest. But like, as when I first started my journey in like entrepreneurship as a creative, not just an entrepreneur, but a creative entrepreneur. So like, having dealing with photographers, videographers, graphic designers, all of them, they all sucked at networking. Like, they sucked at following up. They sucked at sending emails. Like, it was really bad. And I was just like, what if there was something to kind of help them? Because those same people that weren't really great at networking, they weren't getting deals. They weren't getting customers. And it's because they didn't go out to get the customers, you know? Like, entrepreneurship is not just about the skill set, it's about your network. So that really prompted me to kind of create a manual, a networking manual for creatives. And that, of course, creatives, that varies as if you're a student or a professional. So I broadened it, you know, after the pandemic to creatives, professionals, entrepreneurs, and anyone who just struggles with communicating as a whole.
When we return, what we're getting wrong about networking.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about follow-up being one of the things that we get wrong, but let's like get real. Like, what are we getting wrong with networking?
Ooh, what are we getting wrong with networking? Well, I think, and I have a system, but the first thing we're getting wrong is not going. Like, just not going. I have been to so many events where, and I've hosted events where it'll be 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 people accepting the invite. 10% of those people show up to the event. Who all gonna be there? Like, why does that matter? Like,
Who all gonna be there is a real question. Yep, I hear that a lot.
Like, what, do you need a job?
Yeah.
You know, you can't find a job at home. You gotta go out there. Like, do you need resources? You can't always find those resources at home. Like, do you need skills? Like, do you want to learn something new? You can't always learn and apply it at home. You have to bounce it off of other folks. So I'd say, and a lot of times, not just showing up, but showing up late, 30 minutes before the event is over. I literally was at a I went to TechGiving, so it's a tech conference in DC in December, and one of the external events was a LinkedIn like a LinkedIn networking mixer that a lot of people had to RSVP for, and they had to cut the list off. There were people that showed up 10 minutes before it ended. And I was like, all this information they gave us.
Yeah.
You missed out on that. But then, I mean, yeah, you can chat with them at the end, but like, what are you going to chat about?
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's happening. Like, not everything, you don't have to show up late to everything. Now, if it's like from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., like a very large range, especially in the DMV, most of those mixers, you know, the later it gets, the more, I guess, people tend to come in. But if it's for like a prominent company, Google, Amazon, like, you don't show up late for those things. You show up on time. Like, you just show up on time. Sometimes you get a little grace, maybe like 10, 15 minutes, but show up prompt, because those people that you could meet on time may not be there when you show up late.
Exactly. I also want to speak to you. I was talking to a few friends, and I feel like you and I have a lot of similarities. One in that we're the eldest daughter, but also you seem to. Would you describe yourself as an extrovert?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, yes, I'm gonna say yes, but
Yeah.
I've learned boundaries. So.
Yeah. Same as well. I feel like I like my alone time now, whereas in previous years I would have never said that. But I'm more of an extrovert, so I feel that in my friend group I am the connector. I am somebody that can put myself out there. I'm not very naturally a shy person, but I was talking to a group of friends a few weeks ago, and there's this connotation about networking that feels a little icky. That you're going to an event to get something out of somebody. I want to get your opinion and your advice on this, of how can people change their mindset about networking, that it's not something to be turned off by, like you're for the instant gratification, but to what we've been speaking about this whole time, which is the relationship building. Like, how can we change that mindset?
Well, let's think about, I think people don't really have a good definition of what networking is. So for me, this is how I define networking, and it's also in the book. It's the ability to communicate and establish relationships to help you and others progress in their future endeavors. Like, that's what networking is to me. It's about the exchange or the communication of values, what you know, who you know, but it starts off with getting to know someone. You can get to know someone in a lot of different places. I saw a TikTok the other day about someone that was at like a mixer or a social club, and there was a DJ. Newsflash, you can network at a club. Like, you can network at a club. All you're doing is starting a conversation. It doesn't always have to be like button up. And I did a survey that asked, what your preference is on when you are networking or getting to know people. A lot of people prefer kind of like intimate, like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people rather than like an entire crowd. So if you manage to go to an event and you kind of get overwhelmed, it's okay to kind of like take yourself out for a little bit, go outside, but like don't leave. Because I promise you, there are a lot of people that feel the same way that you feel, but they're still there. So if you can find those people, then that again can help start the conversation. I've been to several conferences where everyone's talking to folks, but I'll go to the bar or I'll go on a couch somewhere and just kind of like take a breather. Yeah. And guess what? I'll probably find somebody else there that's also on that couch that's like, this is getting a little too much. Yeah. And then you just start having a conversation. It's not necessarily like, what can I get from you? But it's just, like a, hey, hey, nice to meet you. Like, I'm Desiree. Like, what brings you to the event? Just trying to start a conversation and asking questions. Like, again, I talked about the curiosity. The more you start asking questions, the more answers you get. And who knows where those answers could lead. So networking to me is not just about the button-up professional. It's also about just showing up and introducing yourself without the expectation of it being like too like button up. Just be yourself. Be yourself. Be uncomfortable. You can be at an event and be like, this is my first time. Like, be remember, this is my first time at this event. I don't know anybody here. But guess what? You're there.
Yeah.
And you're probably not the only person that feels that way. So just find your tribe.
Up next, Desiree gives us some advice for your next networking interaction.
I love that. And it's a perfect segue. Your book's called Hey, Nice to Meet You. What are some, for the people that are shy, this is their first time, like you had mentioned, can you tell us some soft openers that people can try to just start the conversation?
Oh, for sure. One of my favorites that I usually do is I'm very observant. So like if I see someone that has a really nice outfit, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love your outfit. I love your shoes. Like, where did you get it? Or, where did you get your shirt? Just ask a simple question. And then they can say like, oh, thanks so much. I got it, blah, blah, blah. And then that's an opener. It's like, oh, okay, well, what brings you to the event? Like this just that's one opener. I'd say, if you have, now to those that have, that drink or whatever, you can ask them, so like, what you drinking on? Like, what's that right there? Or like ask them about the food, like I say start with being observant. So when you're in the room, look around and see if you see anybody that you know. If you don't, start asking questions. Like, hey, what brings you here? Or, I like your outfit. Or one thing I always say is hilarious is, let's say somebody like drops something or like somebody like falls. You can be like, hey, did you see that? Like, what's going on? It might not be the best, but it's a great segue because both of y'all are in the same space and y'all both saw the same thing.
Right.
So it's like, what brings you here?
Yeah, it definitely breaks the ice. No, I love that. I want people to buy your book. And so one thing that I love is that you really do break it down into steps that people, like tactics that people can take that are easy approaches. They're creative tactics. So you had 5. I want to read them out loud. You have the approach, the conversation, the intermission, the contact information, and the follow-up. If you could just like real quickly walk through each of those things so that people are aware of this and can take this approach when they go to their next networking event.
Absolutely. So you got the approach. So the approach is more so being observant, figuring out where you are. So how you approach somebody in like a club is different how you approach somebody in a church, like thinking about the dynamics of where you are and the setting. So that's how I consider the approach. Like the conversation, like what are we talking about? So identifying certain touch points, I would suggest doing research on who the people are. Like if it's like someone that you are aware of, doing research on them. If not, I say do like a appetizer, entree type of dessert type of style for conversation. So providing like a compliment, and then, giving your intention of what you're like what brings you here or what you want to talk about, getting to know who you are, and then of course like asking them, hey, I'd love to keep in touch. Would this be something you'd want? Kind of segue into the contact information. Now, the intermission is my favorite because you don't realize it happens, but you've been to a play, right?
Yeah.
You've been to a play.
Yes.
So the intermission is what happens like in the middle of the play. People take a break. So as far as networking, this is where you decide if you want to keep talking with them or if you want to kind of move on to talk to someone else. And you know what I mean? So a lot of times the intermission can happen without you knowing because the conversation will stop. Or someone else will interrupt because you see someone or they might see someone they know. So it kind of interrupts the flow. That's also an intermission.
Okay.
So that's where you decide, like, am I going to keep talking to the person or am I going to talk to somebody else? So
this is the part. No, go ahead. This is the part that could be, I'm actually so happy that you brought this up because this is the part where that could be kind of scary to some people. You and I, everyone's been in that situation where you're talking to someone and someone's always a little more interested than the other person and you're trying to get away or vice versa, or you're trying to hold on tight because you have one more thing you want to say to, get them to exchange numbers with you, what have you. What in a scenario where you're kind of done with the conversation, you got what you needed out, how do you part, and not in a rude way, but that you're ready to move on to a new person?
Yeah, you can do it in a couple ways. The first way is, it was great talking to you. I see someone, I'd love to get your contact. Again, being nice. If you want to talk, if you want to get their contact, you say that. But if not, it'd be like, it's great meeting you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your event. I'll see you around, and then just kind of let go or, go out. Another way you can do it is if you are listening, and I think active listening is another important part of it. If you know somebody that's also in the room that is looking, like, has something that the other person is looking for, you can introduce them. Like, introduce the person, hey, I'd like to introduce you, blah, 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 blah. And they start talking, you can leave. You know what I mean? You can just get out of there. And the last thing is, this might be a little, depending on how you feeling and how annoyed or who the person is, you can be like, I have to head out. Great meeting you. See you later. Or, I have to take this phone call. Great meeting you. See you later. Those are different, like, instances. You can kind of make your way out without, seeming too rude or like, see you later. And I have learned, and now all these things that I'm saying has either happened to me or I've done to someone else. So I'm living proof of how it happens. And I think even when you're talking to, like, female versus male, like, getting those dynamics sometimes, like, in certain professional spaces, like, if I'm talking to a guy who has a wife, it's like, okay, the wife, you could tell body language. The wife is like, it's time to go.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I see it's time to go. I wish you all the best, and kind of like, go out that way. So I think body language is also a great way to decipher how you want your intermission to go. Because a lot of times, if they're not even paying attention to you, you can already tell they're not really interested. So you can just kind of bow out before they decide to bow out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really about the emotional intelligence too. Lastly is the follow-up. How do people maintain their network? I find that you can meet a bunch of people at these events and you never talk to them again. Or you might follow up with them, but you're not maintaining that relationship that could be going on for years. How do you suggest that people maintain and how can you, like, genuinely foster that relationship?
Okay, I have two ways. The first way is if you get their contacts, like get their LinkedIn or get their socials, just keep up to date when their birthday is, kind of don't like stalk their socials, but, like, show engagement, congratulations, all those things, kind of keep, if you want to keep it surface level. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and plug in my app. So I have a new app that's coming out. It's called Hey Follow Up, and it uses AI to send, like, automated follow-ups with a script.
Yes.
So the same way you have a popple and a blink and a dot, you would do Hey Follow Up. It's on Apple stores and Google, and you put in the information, and it has a virtual Rolodex. So you see their picture with all their information, and you can literally hit follow up, and it'll create a scripted message. So the reason why I made it is because you want to, a lot of times when you're getting all these people's contacts, especially at a large event, you are not going to remember these people's faces. You're not going to know what you talked about. You're not going to remember, like, anything. But the app, it has certain inputs where you're able to remember, okay, this is who this person is. This is where we met. This is the time we met. This is what we talked about. And it all comprised into a follow-up. And the best part about it is it's always there. So even if you might forget or you're like, oh my gosh, I use it myself. So I'm like, okay, who did I meet the other day and what did I meet them for? I go back in my app. I'm like, okay, I met them here. Let me go ahead and send this follow-up. Boop, send the follow-up via email or text, and it sends it straight off. And it just helps because you did your part. You just wait to hear back. And if you don't hear back, guess what? Boop, you can send another one like, hey, it was great chatting with you. Love to follow up to continue our conversation.
Yeah.
So those are my two ways. Start kind of like keeping up to date on social media and seeing what they're up to, and Hey Follow Up, the app. Get that to maintain it.
Yes, thank you so much for plugging your app, because that was my next segue. I think that it sounds very intuitive, and it also takes the work out of it. You have that automated, those automated messages that help to prompt you to remind the people that you're still there, but also following up. I really do. I love that. And I think especially for people that are listening that are aspiring business owners or have businesses right now, I think we're not I mean, we could get into it, but networking is also about building a team, especially if you're thinking about growing and scaling a business, and apps like yours can help to foster those relationships. And so you said that right now it's available on iOS and on Android devices. And so it's available to download now, right?
It's free. Yeah.
Okay. I love that. What has been I know since you published the book, it's evolved in so many ways, one being this app. Like, what has been the response from the people that have used your book and your guideline, your workbook? What's been the response from them?
It's been really insightful. I think the main feedback I've gotten is, I can show this to this person. Let's set up a workshop. So I feel like it's a catalyst for other networking opportunities for other people. So like, I've been asked to host networking crash courses at conferences and networking 101s with people who need help with networking. I've been speaking at conferences about, like, not just I've been invited to conferences just because I have a book. Like, it's really interesting. And just a lot of people are just proud because the fact that, like, if you look at research, how many people actually are able to publish a book in general. So the fact that the book is here, it's already a testament to just the success and the hard work and the fortitude and the commitment to just continue to push on. So to me, the book it's like my baby. It's a testament to who I was and who I'm becoming, and I consider it a vessel for other people who also want to level up in their careers, level up their network, and just level up in life, because you need it in networking is needed in every industry. It's needed in every season. And being transparent with you, like, I it's so interesting because I think I might have told you this when we were talking, but like, in January, I was on severance. Like, my job was like, I had to make a choice, and I chose severance. And I literally had to use the book to remind myself, okay, Desiree, it's time to use your network. It's time to go out. It's time to do all these things. And January, it's now April, and I got a new job. Like, it was quick because I used my network. I was able to follow up. I was able to, do these schedulings and, be intentional with where I'm going. And I think that's also one thing when you're networking. A lot of folks, they just want to go to a bunch of networking events with no intention, no clue what they want to do. But like, the moment you set your intentions first and then have that align with the events you attend, it's a win-win. It's always a win-win. And I'm literally a testimony. Like, I'm a testimony to that.
Yeah, I just want to commend you for creating this platform, creating these books and these products that are recession-proof, that are pandemic-proof. Networking will be around forever, and I think a lot of people talk about public speaking being very fearful. Like, people have a great fear of speaking in public. People have a great fear of networking too, and you are breaking it down in such a simplistic way and taking the fear out of it. And so I just want to give you your flowers because you're really doing your thing on top of all of the things going on in life, and you're still doing it. And I think sometimes when we're in the weeds, we don't see it. Yeah. Until we're on the other side of it, or we have someone that reminds us that we're doing it. And so I just want to remind you that you're really doing that thing, Des. So thank you. Yeah. Where can people find you, and where can people buy your book and everything?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at the Book of Des, no spaces, just the Book of Des with a Z, like the Book of Eli, the Book of Des. LinkedIn, Desiree Video Creative, or you can go to thebookofdes.com. Again, no spaces, thebookofdes.com. My book is there. I'm actually doing a class of 2025 sale, so the book is on Amazon for $20.25 for the 2025 folks. Congratulations.
Love that.
So I really hope that this book can help you navigate. It's very interesting times, but guess what? Your network will always still be your network, regardless of what's happening in your life, regardless of who is in leadership and who's not in leadership. Community is important now more than ever. So if you are in need of community, or you want to build your community and expand your network, definitely check out Hey Nice to Meet You, and feel free to shoot me a message. If you want to be creative with the message. I'm open to it. My DMs are open, and I really hope that you can take something away from this. And definitely follow and continue to watch this podcast and listen to this podcast. It's a great podcast. I got to plug my girl Amber, because she's doing a great job. A podcast is not easy to do, and just being able to put yourself out there and be on the mic consistently is a thing within itself. So please give her some ratings. Give her 5 stars.
Oh, I appreciate
that. 5 stars. We want all likes. And continue to share this podcast, because it's needed. It's definitely needed.
Thank you, Des. This was awesome. This was a 10 out of 10 conversation. I know that people listening are really going to walk away with some gems. So I appreciate you taking the time. This was great.
Of course. Thank you. And, cheers to a better and bigger network, and cheers to success.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
That's it for this week's episode of A Bright Idea Podcast. Today's guest was Desiree Jones, author of Hey Nice to Meet You and founder of the app Hey Follow Up. If you would like to support Desiree or would like to know how you can use her expertise on networking, you can purchase her book on Amazon and follow her on social media at Hey, the letter N, the number 2, the letter M, U. Hey NTMU. Nice to meet you. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us bring on more stories like Desiree's. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at A Bright Idea Podcast for updates. And if there's a topic or a guest you'd like to hear from next, drop us a message. If you would like to support our show directly, you can donate to our Cash App at A Bright Idea Podcast. This show was brought to you by my editor, Chris Kramer, and all of the social media was done by Shekinah Henderson. Until next week, I'm Amber Key.